Last week, Chadwick Boseman passed away from cancer. He was a young actor who had taken on many historic roles in film, playing such people like Jackie Robinson and Justice Thurgood Marshall. In popular culture, he was known for playing King T'Challa of Wakanda in the film Black Panther. Now, Wakanda is a fictional nation that's set in Africa with technology that's far more advanced than anything that we could imagine. And so as a result of this technology, the Wakandans keep to themselves. Now, at the start of the movie, T'Challa's, one of his advisors and friends recommends that maybe they change that maybe they think about doing things in a different way, doing things in a way that will not just benefit them, but everybody else in the world. But at that point in time, T'Challa isn't quite ready to listen. But as the film progresses, T'Challa starts to realize that the threats that Wakanda has been facing stem from these choices that have been made, stem from the fact that Wakanda has refused to open itself up to other people, that it's refused to help others in the world. And so T'Challa realizes that he does need to stop and listen. T'Challa realizes he does need to pay attention and change. He realizes that Wakanda has been wrong, and that because of that, in order to change things for the better, he must open up, listen, and start to change not just himself, but his nation around him. This is all true of us as well. Just like T'Challa, Chadwick Boseman's character, had to open up, had to be open to listening and changing in order to improve himself and the nation he led, we too have to be open to listening in order to improve ourselves. We have to be willing to listen and change. We have to be willing to accept that we may be going down a wrong path, and that we need to open ourselves up to following a different one instead. That, unfortunately, is something that we rarely, if ever, wish to do. And that's why we need good fiction, good examples, and good leadership to tell us how we could be if only we opened ourselves up to listen, if only we opened ourselves up to change. That's why we need the words of Jesus. Jesus, who tells us this morning that if we sin against another person, that other person that we sinned against should come and tell us what we did. That when we wrong another person, they should come up to us and tell us how we wronged them. But this process only works if when someone comes up to us, we are willing to listen. We are willing to accept that we may have done wrong. And that when we listen and understand that we have done wrong, that we are willing to change and be better and to do better in the future. That's exactly how Jesus puts this whole scenario to us. This idea of the wronged party coming up and telling us what we've done wrong. That only works, as Jesus tells us, if we can listen. In fact, every step in this process of grievance, every step in this process to attempt to reconciliation, every step along the way, each additional step, only happens in case that person doesn't listen in the first place. That listening is important and vital. And when we do listen, that's when reconciliation is able to happen. That's when renewal of relationship is able to happen. When we listen, it gives us the opportunity to walk with one another once again. Now, this time of pandemic is the perfect time for us to stop and think about this. Because this is a time where things are very different, where we have been forced to change and think about things in new ways. It's a time where we have to put our own needs aside for those of others. Yes, these masks can be very uncomfortable. Yes, many of you, like me, may have found that they can cause rashes or pimples or all these things that you thought that you had dealt with years and years ago are having to deal with once again. It can be difficult on us. It can be uncomfortable. It can be strange to have to try to shout without taking our mask off even. It can be even stranger to say, well, maybe I don't need to have this interaction right now. There are a lot of things that we have had to do, that we have had to change in how we live our lives at this time. And it's also been a time where we've been forced to think about what we're doing. To think about whether what we're doing is wrong. To think about whether what we're doing might hurt other people in ways that we don't even know. So this is the time for us to be open. It's a time for us to call one another out when we do things that are wrong. It's also very much a time for us to listen, to see where we have strayed, and to be open to change, to come back and do things the way that we should, to do things the right way once again, to do things in the way that helps others and shows our love for one another. So open your hearts. Accept where you were wrong. Be open to change. Be reconciled to yourselves and to your neighbors, so that we might, perhaps for the first time, all be able to live in peace with one another.